Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Save it.
No. Yeah, yeah.
First lesson, how to save a part. You put this button right here. Does it save?
Yeah.
Can you show us that again?
It's saved to my hard drive.
You got it fast.
Wait, I'm
That
confused.
should be.
I'm used to waiting 20 minutes for it.
Well, that's
Okay.
not connected to the
Are you connected to the M drive?
Yeah.
Uh,
But it's slow, like the
yeah, it's slow
connection
because
is
you're
crap.
connected to the M drive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Alright, here's a caliper too.
How do I get to that?
Why do you have a
I
caliper?
got it, I got it.
Chipmunk. Chippy. Why do you have a caliper?
Is this yours?
Yeah. No,
Why?
it's schools.
Why, Calvin?
Because I was measuring the CVTs.
Don't bump this table.
Okay. Welcome to Inventor Training.
Rowan, I'm just filming the screen, so we're good.
So, I don't know if you guys want to go over like making a part, but I think the main thing that we need to get better at as a team is assembling and constraining and putting things where they should be as far as like the model structure goes. So I'll kind of go over that, you know, opening the top level.
Don't touch this table. And go over tube stuff, like the tube library, because that's kind of confusing and it's something that needs to be passed
Wells
out.
figured it out. There's a kind of like a half tutorial for it. It shows you how to do some of it, but there's
On the Inventor website?
extra stuff. No, in that OneDrive. I can show you.
Oh, the thing Steinbrook did?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's
Well-
from what's his name? Cam.
Alright, just do your thing. We can.
Okay, so first lesson, opening the top level from OneDrive. Probably faster than.
No, it takes about an hour.
Are you serious?
Be here all night. It really depends on how good the Wi-Fi is, I guess. It takes like a solid
That
like
sucks.
160 seconds.
It's not an hour.
It's close. And
So I guess I can go over that and grab all this. So we have this vehicles folder. It has all our current, past, and future vehicles all have these folders. So when you make a part specific to, say, the 260, you have to save that part within this 260 folder. And we got all these different categories. You know, there's wherever it makes sense to put your part, where someone else could come in and find it, put it there. Don't ever assemble parts from your desktop, because then if you do that, the next person that opens the model and wants to look at that part, Inventor doesn't know where it is because you're a different user and you have your own desktop separate from the other person, so you'll be able to see it. So when you have a new part, put it in the right vehicle folder, and then when you assemble it, this opens.
it will.
You sure?
Yeah.
There's a little progress bar in the bottom right. We're like halfway there.
Oh, we're good. Why does your computer suck? Just you have a wonderful computer.
Yep.
Are you getting excited for the end of the semester?
No. I don't know
Why?
I don't want. I love
What's wrong with you?
That'll change.
School is king.
Give it time.
I don't know if I'm enthusiasm.
when you're going to make a part that, you know, fits into whatever, what I've been trying to do, like with doing belt guards or whatever, is measuring things on the top level and then doing construction lines to get something that I can sort of build around so that it fits. Is that generally the approach?
That kind of works. Whenever I have to make a new part that has to fit certain like top level geometry, yes. I just make a new part, save it where I want to on the M drive, and then just make something simple. It doesn't matter if it works or not. And then I assemble it into the top level, and then I have the top level open in one window, like, and then I keep switching back and forth. And then when you change the part,
Right.
it'll
It
update
updates.
in the top level, so you can kind of fine tune things. That's the easiest way I found to do it.
Yeah,
I don't know if
that's
there's
what I've been trying to do. I ran into issues with like the
Yeah.
angles not being quite the same on the.
Yeah. Have you open? Jack shaft metal?
That's
Oh, that's
cool.
old, yeah.
Remember?
But yeah. There's really no super easy way to make totally new parts from scratch if they have to fit precisely, but
Okay.
Was that prompt because something wasn't saved correctly?
either that or constrained it weird.
I didn't even see it. It seemed like you thought it was intentional or something.
95% of the time, if you get an error like that, it's not gonna be harmful at all. It's just kind of telling you that there's something wrong.
Okay.
But
Yeah, what's really going on with that whole skip all thing that you have to do when, is that just it's not finding things because there's
There's-
same drive?
there's project files for each car. It's in one of these, it's like in the get started tab, but, so that is just like a file that tells Inventor what, like, file path all of the parts are in for this project that you're working on. So like the 260 project file, references that 260 folder for vehicles. And then, so when you click open, instead of having to like navigate and find that, it'll just, when you click open, it'll bring up F260 and you can go quick through your parts.
Okay.
But if you assemble something, even if it is on the M drive, if it's not within that 260 folder, that's where that comes from.
Okay.
It's like, oh, this isn't within this project.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure this is right. Yeah.
So it's probably people saying the one from last year will work and putting it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of saving it, yeah.
And if there are parts from the previous cars that would work, the best way to bring those in is just to save as,
And copy it into the
copy and paste. Yeah.
folder for the other car.
So, top level.
You want to turn the lights down a little? Just turn it all the way off. Jeez, there we go. Perfect.
Like that?
Yep.
Alright. So, to assemble something, I usually just do place. And I'll bring up.
That's how we do it.
Then you just gotta find your part again. There was something that Paul sent me. Be up quick. It's the fuel rail. I don't know if you know where that is.
I don't know where to put
He
it.
sent me the file.
Might be in the
Phaser stuff.
And
when you put parts into the top level, it's always easiest to constrain them within the top level, but all these sub-assemblies over on the left is where we actually want the parts. Yeah, see, like. So.
So you're not going to open the phaser thing and assemble it into that?
There's an easy way to do it, which I'll show you. You could do that, but I just want everyone to know about this. It's a really easy way to get parts organized. So, what does this just go right here? These two right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those two holes. So is that two selections? Are you selecting two different parts of that fuel rail then?
Yeah, I guess I should.
Explain what those are.
He's not a very good teacher. So, these are all the constraint types we have.
So like what are the main
Constraints
two?
are kind of goofy. If you don't use any other software, they're always better. But this.
I've had that error a lot.
So these are all the different constraint types. You just have to pick whatever type is relevant to what you're doing. I'll try this.
Is there a way to toggle between options of how it can do the constraint? Like I've constrained two axes together with a mate, and the thing could be this way or it could be flipped around, and it's still,
That, if you. that-
like I tried doing it different orders and it doesn't change
There's
it.
no like option to do that, but if you get it close to the orientation you want it, I'm pretty sure that when you do constraints like that, Inventor will just go closest to whatever the part's oriented like.
Okay.
Wait, but isn't it the flip that, so you can see like it's
Yeah,
a
you can, like,
solution
flip it
that's
around.
that blue block and the yellow block and
Sometimes
the
that'll
blue.
work.
Yeah, that
It
wasn't
doesn't do
working.
that for axes.
Okay.
That's, I'm pretty sure just for. Something must be messed up with this. So here you just select the first geometry you want to constrain, second geometry.
Did it automatically select the second one for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first,
Yeah, I don't think that fuel rail will work.
I'm pretty sure something's messed up with the.
Well, it just needs to go up out of the holes
Yeah.
an inch or two.
Yeah, it looked like it was selecting a face that was kind of deeper in the manifold.
Like, so how'd you get to that little drop down menu?
Okay. So, say I didn't want to select this face, which is what I actually want to select. If I wanted to go to like the inside of this cylinder, you just right click, select other, and it brings you a drop down of all the geometry that's in line with where your mouse is there. So you can just scroll through and pick whichever one you want.
So like right now you're constrained along those like two axes, right? In the face. Can you like do something in Inventor where you can change the distance of that face to your other face?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
Okay.
It's offset.
Trying to get to the bottom face of the rail, but I don't think it's gonna work. The insert tool is pretty handy for doing stuff like this. If you do this opposed, you can select
yeah, it looks good, I think.
So,
Actually, I think you have it backwards.
yeah, go on backward.
I think it's supposed to be flipped around 180 degrees.
No, that's right.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's
Wait,
pretty
the
symmetrical.
back, oh, you're right, yep. I thought we were looking at the card the other way.
So like right now, if you wanted to change that distance from that face to the other face, how would you do that?
Down here, these are those two constraints I just put in.
Mm-hmm.
Just edit this guy, add an offset.
Oh, okay.
Like say I wanted it 1
Yeah.
inch out. And if
Cool.
you wanted to move down, just use a negative value. And move the other way.
And how are you editing both of those at once?
What do you mean?
Cause didn't you put two mates in there, one for
Yeah.
each
Uh,
connection?
After the first one, I just clicked apply. And then that saved that constraint, the constraint's done now, and then do the next one.
Okay.
I didn't do them both at the same time, I did them one at a time. I just
Okay.
Did them in the same window. So. So. Right now, this guy is just kinda all by itself out here. And it's all assembly. Which isn't really organized. It's how a lot of the pass cards are. And you look at the pass cards, the model trees are like 80 miles long, it's full of weird stuff. So the easiest way that I've found to get these into the right spot. Would it make sense to put these two in the same assembly? Or no?
I'd put them both in the phaser assembly, but I don't know, that's just me.
So, if you come in here, you right click whatever components you have there. Come up here to component and demote. What this does is if you multi-select parts and do that, it'll take all those parts, put them in its own assembly, and move them down like one level. So it grounds them like in space, and then the assembly that it creates has the same origin planes as the top level. So once you create this new assembly, you can just bring it in, match up the origin planes, and then it'll be in the right place every time. And it's really a good way to get these things to work. So.
Should we use underscores instead of spaces and everything in this?
Doesn't matter. That's just a habit. That's what I have to do for work. And then find where you want it to save this new assembly. So right here. It's kind of redundant to have two assemblies there, but like you said, it would probably be better to open the phaser and assemble it there, but just want to show you guys this. This
So
is
n-
the only part I have to do.
So now, like when you open, like you right click on the whole engine assembly, when you open it, it's gonna open the fuel rail too instead of just leaving it
Not
behind.
yet, not yet.
Oh,
Wait, so
It will.
what is this doing?
It's taking this fuel rail assembly and moving it to a new assembly. So there's
Lumping
gonna-
it with the throttle body or?
There's gonna be, I could if I selected this too when I started, but there's gonna be an assembly down here called fuel rail 260 assembly, and within that assembly is gonna be this.
Okay.
So,
So what that is allowing you to do is if you would put the fuel rail and the intake manifold together in one assembly, that would allow you to put them in together, having already been constrained to each other correctly?
yeah.
Okay.
So, this is right here, and look where the origin planes are on this new assembly. Instead of being somewhere within there, they match up with the car. That's what that demo tool does. So now that this is in here, how long does it take to save the top layer?
A while.
Don't save the top level.
Is that like slow with your guys' computers when you have them drive or?
It's not too bad at my house when I have it hooked up to my internet there,
Well, I kind of got it just to show you guys, but I'm gonna save this, and then it'll save that assembly in that file path that we chose when we click the remote. And then what we can do is open up the phaser assembly, which has the same origin planes as the top level. And then when we put the fuel rail assembly in there, it also has those same origin planes, so we can just match those up and it's good to go. And then that way, if, like say you constrain the fuel rail to the intake and the holes on the intake change somehow, your fuel rail is gonna fail because it doesn't know what it's constrained to anymore. But if you use this demote tool, those planes will always be there, so you can change parts higher up, like in your constraint chain, without messing up parts that you put in there.
So that would mean that the fuel rail would still sort of be constrained to the global, like the car's origin planes, and that's why it doesn't freak out when it loses the manifold.
I can see why this would be really helpful for certain parts, but like for the
Yeah.
fuel rail,
Yeah.
wouldn't you
that's-
want it to fail if you change the holes on the intake? So you
Like
knew
it'd
it
be
wouldn't
better
fail?
just to assemble it right into the phaser, but the other parts still don't.
Okay.
So, I'll probably go back later and change it, but just for demonstration's sake. You got any other questions so far?
Let's do the tube thing.
Yeah. Alright.
So the point of using demote is getting those planes to line up instead of,
And then, say you have like, you're mounting something into the radiator, and then you have like 5 different parts that all mount the radiator, but they're not like assembled to each other. Each one is assembled to the top level. You assemble all your mounts to the top level where you need them, group them together, and then you can demote that assembly. And then instead of having like 20 different constraints just for these whatever mounts, it's only, they're all grounded and there's only 3 constraints just matched up those points. Alright, so this is our frame. To build it, we use the frame generator tool, which is a pretty cool feature right there. It's all built off of a 3D sketch, which is what this is. We use software to optimize our suspension points. We haven't done it in a while, but in like the past 3 or 4 cars, we've used points from previous cars to build the new cars. So it's like an Excel sheet of points that all gets imported, and then we create this like line structure using just the 3D sketch. And then once we have that, use this frame tool. So we can insert frame. I'll just delete the names to show. first we have to set up the content center library, which probably is in the new laptop. So on the M drive,
Scroll down on the left.
Hey, you can X out of my Google Chromes if you want.
documentation, content center library. This is the file that Inventor needs to get all of the tube sizes that we use for our frames. So like the 1-inch, 435, 4.9, 4.5, whatever they are, thickness. So we have to put this into, there's this little tutorial here, which is pretty helpful. You can read through this. It's pretty short, but this isn't the full thing. There's some extra steps in doing this. So we're gonna go to this address. Do that a few times. This is all the Inventor Content Center files for the versions for their some of them have this FSAE file, but not all of them. 'Cause I've just been updating the computers that we use. Pretty sure all the shop ones have it now, but if you go to the library and you wanna use frame generator, you have to do this. So once you're in here, you just copy and paste this guy into this folder. Pretty simple. And you have to restart it. Oh, no, we don't have to restart. Sweet. So, I'll do that slower. Going to get started. Go to projects. This little guy down here. I don't know what it is. Don't know why there's a drop down for one option also. But you have to check this box next to the FSAE, which is what we just added. Click OK, done. Yes. And then this might be where it
I do have one. So when you're constraining things, do you then, so like on the chassis itself, all the points are fixed? When you're constraining a part in, do you then want to delete the constraints and then put a fixed constraint? Or just leave the constraints that you have on that part in the model?
Are you talking about when you go to demote something?
Pardon me?
When you go to demote something?
No, when you're constraining it. So there are some parts that have like their constraints to like another like the chassis, but then there are other parts that have clearly been constrained, but then have been fixed.
You're talking about parts. Okay, I see what you're saying. So parts that are in the right place, but the only constraint on them is that they're fixed.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to go? Do you not want us to fix everything?
Well, when you demote something, that's what it does.
So,
Just
okay.
fixes it, its base.
And it keeps the other constraints when it's demoted?
No.
Okay.
This is the one we used for the laser cutting stuff. No. Yeah, the fixed constraints, they're easy to remove,
Yeah.
so.
Could you just uncheck it? That's it.
Yeah, but if you're constraining to something that's fixed, it's all right. It's not gonna.
Okay.
not gonna affect it. But I'll just go through this. Like I said, go to frame, insert frame. Actually using the frame generator once it's set up is really simple. Just go insert frame, and then find whatever sketch element you want to use, click on it, and then there's like a window with different options that you can have for like your two properties, and then that's where we pick it's an unnamed standard that we put in there in the content center, the FSAE. It shows up as unnamed, and that'll have all our different tube sizes in there. So. Is there anything else you want me to go over after this, Adam?
If you've got something that you can put it in and you can see that it's where you want it to be, but it's hard to get, like it's an edge running into another edge or whatever.
It's not exactly.
And it's, well, no, like, it's where you want it to be, but you don't have a way to constrain it. If you demote it, does that hold it where it is?
Yeah, as
Okay.
long as it's where you want it to be, and you demote it and fix it.
Okay.
So you can even have like under constraining parts.
Right, that's what I meant.
One of them will be fixed,
Like something where you can look at it and line it up or whatever.
but that's kind of bad practice.
Yeah,
But if that's your only option, I guess.
right.
Talking about bad practice, is there any like constraint that keeps things parallel? Because the only constraint that I found that does that is if I do like the angle constraint and then set the angle to 0. So is there a parallel constraint thing?
The only one is the planes. So if you're trying to assemble a part that doesn't have planes that match with everything else on the car, which is like 90% of the parts.
Yeah, okay.
That constraint is sometimes you can find a random line somewhere that you can constrain parallel to, but 9 times out of 10 it's just going to be a huge headache. Inventor constraints are not the best, but I'm sure you guys will figure out what you do eventually.
If you're putting a tab on a tube, so it's like a, you know, a square with a semicircle cut out of it, you can make the surface of the cut to the tube, and then you just have to find something else and constrain angle to it to keep the thing from spinning around the tube.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of times,
And then just distance from the end of the tube.
what I've found that works is if you take like the end face of your tab, like the narrow face, and make a tangent to the tube, and then you can use the angle constraint for the face, and then if another tube comes off that tube, and you want to be parallel with, you can use that.
Okay.
But sometimes yesterday I spent 20 minutes trying to figure out how to constrain a little tab that is just, it's frustrating. Alright, come on, computer.
Oh, do you know a way to get, like often if you do a measure command, you get like delta X, delta Y, delta Z, and the distance. But then I was measuring between two axes and I wasn't getting those, I was just getting the distance. Is there a way to tell it to give you the other ones too?
If you measure between,
Maybe it was because they weren't
Or the-
perfectly parallel, so it just gave me the closest one.
yeah, were the axes in line with any of the origin axes?
I would guess so. It was the primary and the secondary
Because the
clutch
axes,
axes.
they're parallel, they're always gonna be the same distance apart.
Right, but there
So,
should
yeah.
still be a delta X and a delta
Yeah.
Z I can look at.
Yeah, I suppose, but I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, so we want to put a frame piece right here. So design, insert frame, and this is the box it brings up. So this is where this wouldn't be here if we didn't do that file copy thing that we did before. And these other ones are all like industry related items and stuff. So let's put it there.
So 6.5.
Blue's 065.
Yeah.
This one was green.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So this is
My bad. I thought it was blue.
So we set all these parameters. These two are the same, but if you don't set both of them, they'll fail. And then colors. Is that bright green or something? Do you remember what green is?
No idea.
Yeah, do you remember?
You just click on one of the other ones.
It's like right there. Well, so doesn't really matter what color it is for now. Say it was 195. I'll just make it red. Our colors are red for 095, blue for 065, green for 049, and yellow for 35. So we can just select which one you want. Gives you a little preview, nice and green, which is always good. Okay, it just tells you this is gonna be the name of this tube part, and we'll put it in this tree.
So you don't have to do anything to the end of the tubes?
No, it notches it for you.
Oh, okay.
Does it? I thought it didn't.
Dark green. That's
Well, okay, so then if you want to do that, you just click the notch thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can show you that. It is dark green.
Is there a way in the top level to turn off visibility of one chunk of the frame if I'm trying to look at another one to constrain the other one? Like,
One piece of tubing or something.
right,
Frame,
like
I
if
think
there's
it's
one
like
piece of
frame
tubing
tool.
that's blocking my ability to see something, to figure out
Yeah,
measure
I
it
Just
for
use
sure.
the one under three.
You have to,
That's probably.
Yeah.
if you were in the top level, you have to double click the frame, and it would activate this assembly, and then you can, you'd have to double click again to get to this.
Okay, and once you've opened it
And
up
once
all.
you've double clicked it again, then you can highlight a specific tube and
Okay.
then turn off visibility.
Cool.
But that line will still be there,
Right,
which, so rendering, it's in environments. Oh. I got it. All right. Environments. On a normal computer, this will just be like up here, and then the environments tab. It's Inventor Studio. And then, like, say you wanted to render just this isometric view. Just click render. Render image. And then you can pick like background. There's quite a bit of different stuff you can do with like the background, but I'm not sure how to do that. Like, you remember Carl had that one where it was in that shop?
Oh, yeah.
He did that actually in Inventor. What is it called? We'll just do some galaxy for now. We can change the
Is that's the background, so you could just choose like white or something?
Let's see, white, but I think there must be white somewhere, and if not, just change your background color to white and then just use the background.
Oh, okay, that's probably what they did.
I'm not sure how to change the background though. You'd have to Google that or something. You can change the lighting, with pleasant lighting. This is a really bad quality picture, so just change it to like 1080 or 720. Style. This works sometimes, and it doesn't work other times. It looks really cool and it works. Like if you have, when we did our rendering of the body, it had like all the reflected parts of the body and talking, but sometimes it just kind of looks goofy and there's a bunch of weird lines. But then, just click, render. And there it is.
In the galaxy.
Yeah. And then if you like it, just click save. It'll put it to find wherever you want to put it at. If you don't like it, you just
Can you put
change settings and start again.
can you put like multiple pictures on one rendering? Or like multiple, so you want like a top, front, side, whatever,
I think you'd have to render each of these separately and then combine them
in Inventor, or just in like,
in like paint.
okay, alright.
So,
I'm just wondering, cause I gotta do that for SES too.
I can help you with that. The only thing I'm not sure about is how to change the background. You can change, this has something to do with lighting, but I don't know what this is.
Not too worried
It's
about it.
the lighting, but whatever. So, that's it. I'll go back to it. Oh. Alright,
So,
anything else anyone wants to? talk about?
How do you do a 3D sketch?
3D sketch. Good question. It should be right there.
probably if you just like went to new, I think it would show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
Because modeling we've all like learned in class, like where you just extrude things. But 3D sketching is, I don't know, I'm never quite confident with that. Do it.
The way we do it, like for these, is we import the points and then we use that, which you have to look up on a tutorial. I can't remember how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like just a thing on the top ribbon where you can just click import Excel points, and then you'll open that and all your points are in there, and then you just start connecting stuff where you need to connect, and then
Because Will showed me his program, or the Excel to optimize the points. And then you just take, like, but it only gives you one set of like 4 points. You then take it, like, place that, take another set of 4, place that, take the rear, place, and then place.
not entirely sure. Every time I did it, there was 8 points,
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
but I don't know.
With the 8 points as in,
8 suspension points, or
We
16.
can,
okay.
we can look at it later.
Okay.
Hours trying to figure all that out.
Yeah.
But,
Another piece to tackle.
Everybody good?
good.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks.
Thanks.